Hello and welcome to a brand new Player 2 Plays. My name is Paul James and today we are playing Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. This is the latest in the long-running JRPG franchise, Dragon Quest, of course. And I basically picked up my copy today and I'm keen to show you through whatever the opening act essentially has in store for us. Now, if you know JRPGs, you know that they're long games. Reviews became available worldwide last week, if I recall, and the upshot was that Dragon Quest XI is approximately 65-ish hours, depending on your playstyle, and if you are the completionist, then you could have a much longer adventure still ahead of you. So this is the opening cinematic. If you've caught up with any of my Insider episodes over the journey, you'll know that, well, you will have seen this a few times, and I was quite impressed by, and we'll see the horse come back, I'm fairly sure, shortly, if I recall this correctly, the attention to detail there in the cinematics. Like you'll see the hairs, and like you'll see every little detail. It's incredible how this franchise has developed over decades, many decades. For those of you who aren't aware of the prominence of this franchise, in Japan, when a new core entry releases, it's essentially a public holiday. So many people take days off work that it's like what us in Victoria, and presumably some other states around Australia, when the Melbourne Cup emerges, and it tends to land on a Tuesday, a lot of people will take the Monday off. This is that sort of thing. People will take long weekends to sit down and binge play this thing, and because of its size, they never get through the thing in its entirety, but they get through a certainly sizable chunk of it. So this is the opening cinematic. It is, I think we saw, was it the Tokyo or Symphonic Orchestra there? Like I'm not exactly sure. I did miss that little detail there. But Dragon Quest XI, it's been available in Japan for a year now. And it's finally now here in the West, and we're going to dive into it. So, as you can see, this is the very beginning of the game. We've got a little pep talk here about video streaming, but streaming this game is permitted, however, use streams primarily. Yeah, that's right. We're not here to just listen to the music. We might comment on it, but we're not here to just listen to the music. So let's dive into it. On news, we'll call ourselves Paul. No, we'll go with Padge. They're my initials for those of you out there. What's Draconian Quest? Oh. So we've got a bunch of different conditions we can apply to our... No, let's keep this nice and stock standard. All right, so that's a new feature that I wasn't expecting. All right, let's dive into it. Lots of different characters to choose from there, but I'm Paul. Display brightness, we're fine. Let's not dive into the nitty-gritties about that. That's something I can fix up later if it's an issue. You won't be seeing that, however. Are you happy to proceed with these? Yes. Let's see what this story is all about. Ooh, a little ghostly sort of creature. Maybe this is like one of these echoes in the title. So again, Echoes of an Elusive Age is the subtitle here. So maybe this little creature is like an echo of sorts that can exist or exists in a different timeline. But then again, something's going down. Sudden darkness like that in video games, film, anything, television, anything, books. Really a good sign. Some old wise men, presumably. One with an enormously large nose.
This child, he is the one.
And already we've got more voice acting than in Octopath Traveler.
There's no mistaking it.
So what I'm most interested to see in this, and obviously like the story's kind of playing itself out at the moment, what I'm really most intrigued to see here is how Dragon Quest XI does or does not deviate from the norm. So, let's stop fire mighty quick. Dragon Quest is ultra traditional. It is turn-based combat, and where Final Fantasy was doing that for a long time, it gradually pivoted to what we now know Final Fantasy 15 to be, and of course it's Final Fantasy 14, which is an MMO. So we're seeing lots of different approaches being implemented in the case of Final Fantasy. But Dragon Quest has very much remained the same. We've had spin-offs in the form of Monsters and Heroes and Joker and all those sorts of little spin-offs, but the core games have remained as traditional as traditional gets. And I'm really intrigued to see whether that remains to be the case as we progress further through this game. Now, looks like our little baby friend has been taken from town, or was. It's very pretty. The colours are just so... Like those trees there look so lifelike. The water looks gorgeous. The characters obviously have their style. That's Akira Toriyama for you, so Dragon Ball if you're not familiar. Chrono Trigger in the gaming sphere, and of course every Dragon Quest game.
You poor thing. Come here. Oh, there's no need to be frightened anymore. You're
Baby Krillin.
safe now, little fellow.
It looks sensational. Now, I'm curious to see whether that remains the case when we dive into the gameplay. Things will certainly change a bit, but that was really striking. Well, several's a very ambiguous number, but we're clearly a teen of some sort here, at least. Dragon Quest games are, even in terms of their story, ultra traditional. This is it'll be, I'm the chosen one and I'm destined to save the world, and the adventure plays out. That's certainly what we've seen in a lot of other Dragon Quest games and a lot of other JRPGs. It's a trope of that genre, and I'm curious to see if it remains to be the case here. English VO.
Trust me to lose my headscarf just before the big ceremony. So it's finally here, the big day. I can't believe we're going to be climbing all the way up there.
Alright, so what are we going to be doing up there? Because it's not a serious climb.
Looks like Sandy's keen to lead the way. Come on, best not keep her waiting.
Alright, let's go see what this dog is directing us to. Give me control though. I've been in this cinematic period for quite some time. There we go. Alright, cool. There's still... Certainly the detail is... Well, it's less detailed than what we saw in the CG cutscene, but I think that's to be expected. There's still plenty of life and colour in this, and it's a nice... Look, there was a period last gen, so PS3, 360 that I'm talking about here specifically, where everything was brown and grey and black and moody and brooding, and it just wasn't... They weren't pleasant worlds to be in. And things have changed a little bit in recent years. I think Ni no Kuni was one of the first to really change things up when it released on the PS3, late in that console generation. But we've still seen a lot of darker games. You know, The Last of Us, The Last of Us Part 2's on the way. And we kind of lacked colour and life and some of the personality that comes with that. this is not to put down The Last of Us or any of those sort of games, because The Last of Us is one of my favourite games of all time. But it's nice to see some change. And Ni no Kuni kicked it off, and we've seen Spider-Man comes out this week. There's plenty of colour there in that New York City, with obviously Spider-Man being really striking in his red. We've got Dragon Quest here, and there's lots of indies that are injecting lots of colour into what they do as well. There's our map, so we can see where we're going. It's just nice to see a lot of colour in the world. It's nice to just not be so dark and brooding all the time. Spirit of the land, and come back and tell us how you like the view. That's right, at the top of that giant rock, like they were talking about before. Alright, cool. All grown up, let's be sure to look after Gemma. Yep. What I'm really eager to get to now is some combat. Just follow Sandy, the dog. That's Andy. Andy. Sandy. Don't everyone be stopping me now. Ugh.
Humble folk of cobblestone, great land spirits, hearth and home. That's how it goes, isn't it? My granddad's been teaching me the prayer ever since I was little. He reckons the spirit of the land really does live on Cobblestone Tor, you see. As long as I can remember,
well, let's go meet the spirit of the land.
For this day, the day it would finally be my turn to climb all the way up there and offer my thanks. I just wonder whose idea it was in the first place, sending the village's young folk on such a dangerous errand. What if I take a tumble and do myself a...
So an important thing to note about the Dragon Quest franchise itself, outside of the fact that it's obviously ultra traditional, is that it's been a long time since we got a proper entry in this, firstly on the console, but secondly, overall. Dragon Quest 8 came out to the PS2. Dragon Quest 9 was a DS game. Dragon Quest 10 was an MMO. And it's one that never released in the West. So for the likes of myself, who've been championing the bit for a new core Dragon Quest game for, I don't know, it must be getting close to a decade now that we've waited. The DS game was fantastic. I loved it. 8 is an absolute gem. It's one of the best JRPGs ever made as far as I'm concerned. It's been a long wait. Ooh, combat. The adorable slime.
They're coming this way.
Now we'll get a little bit of an introduction to the combat, I'm going to say. Alright, so first thing that kind of strikes me is that it's traditional in that we've got our fight, tactics and flee, but it looks like we've got a 3D space, like a little circle here that we could be roaming around in. So let's see how it plays out. Oh! Alright. So does that mean I can potentially run to... When do I know that my turn is up? Do I have like a bar or something that fills in? Or am I just running for no good reason? What is the incentive at the moment to avoid the enemy? So it's still turn-based, but why am I moving through the environment?
Tough little blighters, aren't they?
Now, hopefully that becomes clear soon, because otherwise, I may as well just stay rooted to the spot. There's no point. 6 experience points, 6 gold, drops a treasure chest, medicinal herb.
Crikey, I wasn't expecting that. I know they were only little, but I'd have been done for if you and Sandy hadn't been here to help me. And now we've got to go through that horrible dingy cave. Just our luck. I'll bet you anything that's where those awful things came from. Well, as long as you're with me, I've got nothing to worry about.
Right, let's get going then. Is this MIDI? Oh, this totally isn't orchestrated. Why have they gone with that choice? In this day and age, especially when we saw the, I'm fairly sure it was Tokyo Symphonic Orchestra or something when we were listening to the opening cinematic there. It's weird that we've got what sounds like MIDI music when we're playing. Like some games deliberately do that as a bit of a throwback, and that kind of fits in with the aesthetic approach of the game. But we're not seeing that here in Dragon Quest. Like they're, visually they're trying to really keep with the times. So why are they? While lowering the HP before the battle's even begun, preemptive strike. Cool, cheap one hit. That'll do. And let's see what else we got. So we don't have any spells that we can use yet. We don't have any other abilities we can use. We can really only attack and defense. So let's just hack our way through this thing.
Crikey!
Maybe if I have to make the enemy do a little bit of work before they hit me, maybe it reduces the amount of damage they do. And maybe the opposite applies when I'm on the attack. I'd be interested to see if that's a mechanic here. Let's see what's up here. Oh. Maybe there's some items or something to be collected over here. Whatever this medicinal herb. Nothing else we can do though. I am still really impressed with how this game looks visually. It's quite pretty. Alright, let's go Sandy. Lead the way. Ah. Too slow to swing my sword. Yeah, the choice to go MIDI is baffling. Back up. See, I'm finding there's no incentive
Don't give up.
for me to
Go on.
Good. Doesn't seem to be any incentive for me to run around in this battlefield. Like, what am I doing? Now, are there potentially some environmental things that I can interact with at different points in larger conflicts? Maybe in some boss battles I can run around. There's, I don't know, exploding barrels. If the enemy's near it, maybe I can hit that and do some extra damage or something. I don't know. It seems quite odd. Why didn't he swing his sword? Let's knock his head off. Well, he is just a head, but okay. So I wonder what happens if level up. Great. Oh, and a little thumb up. Subtle, but I like it. And it's pretty typical. So you got your maximum HP and MP, strength, resistance. Resilience. Charm, deafness. Yeah, look, that's pretty well the standard fare for an RPG, especially a Japanese one. Frizz, some of our first spell. So we'll mess around with that in our next conflict. This looks like a dodgy sort of bridge. Or across it okay. Visually. Oh no, there's a little bit of movement. Okay. For a moment there, I was thinking, oh, geez, okay, it's just a flat thing that we're strolling across. Right, let's try Frizz out. Great. I'm going to have to work out what my prompt is to select all.
Tough little blighters, aren't they?
Share that magic out, because if I'm going to use it, I may as well affect everyone. So, one thing that's obviously already quite different is the fact that whilst so far I'm yet to identify why I'm allowed to move within a particular space, what is the prompt that allows me? It's clearly not L2, because I've pressed L2 a couple times now and it keeps selecting the target. When we're moving through the environment, you can actually see the enemies now. So in previous Dragon Quest games, it's still random encounters, which is very traditional. Final Fantasy abandoned it quite some time ago, but that's not to say it was the right decision. I personally love random encounters, even when they frustrate me. Oh, no MP. And they can be frustrating. You know, you're running towards that save point, you're ready to wrap things up, and then all of a sudden, when you're 2 paces away from where you need to be, you get randomly attacked. In this case, you can see him coming, and that's, I guess, something that we've picked up from, say, a Final Fantasy 15, from a Tales game, the Tales of franchise, for those of you unaware. Berseria, Zestiria, Symphonia. There's some fantastic, and I think I mentioned Vesperia, the remaster of that's coming later this year, or early next year. It's interesting to see how they kind of melded that in. We're still getting turn-based combat, but there's just some little tweaks to how you come across your enemies. If Sandy's going that way, I'm going this way. What have we got down here? Nothing there. Some pots, though, I did see down the bottom. Maybe I can smash those and get some stuff from them. I would have rather just swing my sword at it rather than pick it up and drop it, but that's alright. See, I can't even swing my sword at the moment, so it's clearly a contextual thing. Like, when the enemy's close, then I can swing my sword. The rest of the time, I'm mashing X and getting absolutely nothing from it. Chunk of copper ore. There we go. And all of a sudden, we're impressive. Alright. We've got some magic again. When did that come along? Alright. Can I select all? No. Still haven't worked out how to do that yet, but whatever. For the time being, it'll do. I'm still unsure about this MIDI tune. It's not jiving with me. And I'm accruing all these medicinal herbs, and I've got, I've already forgotten her name. But she's healing me up, so there's no reason for me to use those at all right now.
Look at all this
Jenna,
fog.
that's right.
Is this normal, do you think?
Help! Help me!
What? Cole?
Nice cut. Where's the bowl?
Quick! You have to help him! It's not fog at all. It's more monsters.
Alright, let's take them out. Look, for all that it's MIDI, the Dragon Quest music is still fantastic. Let's take out Smog A.
Get him!
Well, at least attack Smog A.
Don't give up.
Oh, yes, give me more of that awesome MP. There's our first Smog dealt with. Paralysed by fear. I'd be scared of the dog too. I'm not going to waste my magic here, not on this one enemy. Come on, Sandy, finish the job. Right, paralyze it, that'll work too.
Tough little blighters, aren't they?
40 XP and 22 gold, that's alright.
Well done!
Naturally, a level up, that's good. We're progressing level-wise quite nicely early days.
I'm sorry, Gemma. I only came up here because I thought it'd be funny to jump out and surprise you.
Hope not looking like that.
But then those monsters appeared.
What in the world is going on? I never heard anything about monsters appearing on the tour before. But never mind that now. Whatever were you thinking? You could have been killed. You take Sam.
Alright, so
Yes, Gemma.
Cole and Sandy are heading back. And it just makes me think that there's a bigger encounter around the corner now
You
that the
saved
dog's
my
left us.
bacon again.
Maybe something
I knew
happens
you
to
were
Gemma.
tough, but crikey, you really have grown into quite the hero.
Next minute, swoop, gone.
Not far to the top now.
And we go all Wind Waker on it.
Typical. It would have to go and start raining, wouldn't it? Come on.
Alright, cool. Let me just have a quick look around to see if there's anything worth hoarding once I get past all the trees. Here we go, here's something. Pink pine. I guess maybe I can do some crafting with it later. There are crafting systems and whatnot present in the game. Gemma just disappeared. She clearly just jumped into my skin then. And then we'll jump out. Very traditional. Watch your step, cool, so I can just creep around the edge here. I probably can't fall off. And sorry, I must sound like I'm being really negative. For me, this is exactly the sort of thing I want from my JRPGs at the moment. Octopath Traveler has really scratched an itch. So many JRPGs have pivoted their direction in recent years, and it's great. I think if you get too much of the same, it can be a bad thing. Despite the fact that I love that particular formula, Final Fantasy IX is my favourite game, and it is a traditional-ass Final Fantasy game. But at the same time, we've changed directions a lot. We're seeing different things. So
we are at
the occasional
last.
flashback to an elusive age is exactly what I'm looking for.
It's such a shame about the weather.
Do I
really
have
looking
hundreds of
forward
hours
to
to
that
sink into
view.
these sorts of games consistently? Not a chance. As many of you who follow Player 2 know,
We better
I've
see
got my
the
first
pair and
child
get this ceremony
coming,
over with, eh?
look, realistically any day now. But so I'm not going to have a lot of time for games like this.
What was that?
But it's just good comfort food. I can just pick this up and I can consume it however I want. I'm playing on the PS4 today. The game will be available for the Switch eventually, I believe. In Japan, you can also play the game on the 3DS. But better help, Gemma. Oh, she's gone. But the thing about it is that the PS4 version, it's like most PS4 games, you can play on the Vita via remote play. And the fantastic thing about that is that with a traditional JRPG where timing is not the essence, you don't have to worry about being quick on your feet, quick reflex and that sort of thing. It means that I can play this on the Vita. I just connect my Vita to the PS4 and off I go. And I use that Vita as my new screen and controller. That's awesome. That I can sit there, watch TV, maybe supervise the baby, have him
We're alive.
sitting across my chest, You can have a snooze, and I can just sit there and play the Vita, and it's really accessible.
How? That
And I
great
think
big
what
flash of
Octopath Traveler
lightning.
showed is that
It
people
was
want
almost like
these sorts of
you
games
made it
in a
happen.
portable form. There's a lot of games that people want in a portable form these days, thanks to the Switch. But the Dragon Quest will work really well in that format. So I'm eager to give it a go via remote play when the time arises.
Look, the mark on your hand.
Mystery.
Huh? Oh, it stopped. Well, we can worry about that later. All I know is that you saved me yet again. I don't know what I'd do without you. Now, we
Nothing.
really had better
You'd be dead
finishing
already
up
by
this
now.
ceremony.
Thanks to our little slime friends, thanks to your inability to stay on top of a mountain or cliff, you'd be having a rough time of it. Good thing I am here. Not to mention me electrocuting that bird
Humble
somehow.
folk of cobblestone, great land spirits, hearth and home, lift your voices up in prayer, sing it across all our drear.
Derriere?
Blessed are we since days of yore, let it be so forevermore.
Alright, that's pretty impressive. Wish I could change the weather at a drop of a hat.
Wow! Look! It just goes on and on and on.
Deep.
Whoever dreamed up this ceremony must have had this in mind. They wanted to show us how huge our world really is.
It is quite a view. Obviously, we're looking over just an expanse of
Well,
water for the most
that's
part.
it.
But again,
It's
this,
all
this,
over,
this use of
and now
colour
we're
just makes everything
grown-ups.
striking, and I'm
Then
really
they'll be
appreciating
waiting
that
for us at the
aesthetic.
bottom.
And it seems so novel. But we live in a beautiful, coloured, vibrant world, and all we get portrayed to us in a large portion of video games is, you know, a very similar one note, really. Brown, grey, black. I need more of this. And that was a MIDI sound there too. We've cleared the air, the world looks gorgeous. I want to go and just explore it all already. There's a lot of mountains over there. Where am I going? Well, where's Sandy and our little man?
We're back safe and sound, Grandad.
Indeed you are, my dear. Thank the spirits for that. When we saw lightning striking up there, we got a little worried, I have to tell you.
We've still got a silent protagonist. It hadn't dawned on me so far that he hadn't spoken out aloud.
Well, I never.
Again,
Sounds
very
like
traditional.
It's nothing short of a
And
miracle
some
that you
franchises
made
still
it
do a
back
good
in
job of
one
it. Zelda
piece.
is the most prominent one.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The spirit of the land was watching over you.
Of course.
Now tell me, my dear, how was the view from the top?
Colourful.
Oh, it was wonderful. I saw the sea stretch into the horizon and the sunlight playing on the water and... Oh, I've never seen anything like it in my life.
You're true Cobblestonians now. Only we have the pleasure of looking out
So
over
what
the
is the
world
thrust?
of Erdrea
Where
in
does
such
this
breathtaking
where does this
fashion,
go?
you
We're
know.
seeing monsters. We're getting our first taste of some combat.
You're still young.
But what is going to happen
The
that
day may
sets
yet
me
come
off
when
on
you
this
decide
grand
to
adventure?
leave
Because we know it's only a matter of
Cobblestone
time.
I hope our little ceremony has opened your eyes to a little of what may await you out there. Now, it's high time we were heading back. I'm sure your mother is eager to hear how things went, young man. Don't keep poor Amber in suspense.
My mum's name is Amber? Okay. But where's the dog and the boy?
Come on, you. Home time.
Little pep talk. But really focusing on the basics, attack and defense. The higher the number, the better. That's the norm for any game that involves stats. So we're getting our first little look over Cobblestone here. Trophy. There we go. My first core Dragon Quest trophy. I've gotten some for heroes. Cool. Hey, Square Enix, can you bring Dragon Quest 8 to the PS4 via the PS2 Classics? Come on, you know you want it. Alright, there's Cobblestone. We've got people to talk to, like this dude. Forgotten where I live. Yeah, mate, sorry. Clarify. I will, but I'm going to check, and I'm not 100% sure how the system works here. I assume it's like other Dragon Quest games where I save at the church. So, where is that? Again, these horses. They look gorgeous. Love them. I'm not a big horse guy. I've got this weird thing about horses. I get a little bit intimidated by their size and bloody how muscular they are. And I also know someone who got kind of kicked. Hey, there's Sandy. Someone who got kicked by a horse and it put them in hospital for quite a while. Where is the church? Maybe that's where Sandy's trying to take me. Maybe trying to take me home. Oh, there. Down we go. There we go. And so I get a little bit thinking about horses, but man, a video game rendering of one that looks as detailed and as impressive as that, I love it. So Dragon Quest games, it's your opportunity to pray/save. So you confess what you've done, and that's your opportunity to save. But then you can also, there's a few other things you can do there. So you can learn a bit about the XP required to level up, bring party members back to life, poison and curses. So a church is a place that you'll visit regularly whilst you're playing a Dragon Quest game. I'll record an adventure log, absolutely. And at this point, we'll wrap things up, I think. So that has been another Player 2 Plays. In fact, it has been about the first, roughly, 40 minutes of Dragon Quest XI. Again, echoes of an elusive age. The game is available now on PS4. Might come to Switch sometime in the future. Square Enix is still being a little bit cagey about that, and the 3DS version hasn't released in the West. So currently your only option is the PS4. You can buy it digitally, you can buy it retail, whatever it is that tickles your fancy. But again, the game's available now, and consider checking it out. I'm a big fan of Dragon Quest. I'm a big fan of this traditional JRPG model. It's one that we're kind of seeing a small resurgence in at the moment, which really speaks to me. But it's also one that I hope just doesn't come back in a giant tsunami like what we're seeing with Metroidvanias at the moment and a lot of those 2D action platformers. It'd be good if we just get a nice little trickle of these, because they're long games. They take a long time to develop, they take a long time to play, and I don't want to get too oversaturated. I like my balance of new and old. It's a great game though so far, despite some little flaws with MIDI and some confusion at the moment about the combat, but I'm sure that'll get elaborated, that'll be explained, and expanded on at some point. It's doing some really good things, and I'm really interested to see what it continues to do going forward. If you enjoyed this Player 2 Plays, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. All those buttons are down below here. And hit that notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live. That includes Patched, The Insider, Player 2 Plays, the Late Game Review, Gamer School, and a whole lot more. There is some awesome content there waiting for you to check it out, so please go and give it a look. Again, youtube.com/player2netau. For written content, please visit the website player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writer's Draft, and a whole lot more, including links to the Player 2 Marathon, which is happening next weekend, not this coming one, next weekend. And we're looking to raise money, as we did last year, for the Terry Campese Foundation. We've already raised over $1,000, and the stream hasn't even started yet, so please consider chipping in. You will win a prize. We've got so many awesome games donated by a whole range of different publishers, and we're hopeful that you can help us realise the dream of about $3,500 going towards the Terry Campese Foundation. Thank you for your support. You can find us on Patreon as well, patreon.com/player2au, and consider kicking a few dollars there. At the lower tiers, you'll get early access to episodes. At the higher tiers, you'll get monthly exclusive episodes of Patched or The Insider, and the ability to join us in the monthly Player 2 podcast. We'd love to hear your voice on the show, and in doing so, you are helping to support the Player 2 dream. Thank you in advance. For rolling updates, you can find me at PaulJamesP2 on Twitter, the website you'll find at Player2au on Twitter, and until next time, again, that was Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.